Hey guys, I thought I'd just make this quick video as sort of a bit of a warning to those who are looking to get their tapes or other things converted to a digital file and are not quite sure where to go or who to turn to for that. So recently I had an experience with a particular customer who had a few cassette tapes, and he had actually sent some of those cassette tapes to another business. However, the quality that they came back with was very poor. And so he sent the tapes to me and said, look, if you can do a better job, great. If you can't, then don't worry about it. So right here, I've got two files. So this is the file that the previous business did. And then this is the file that I did. So this is two files are both from the same cassette. Now, you'll notice a couple of key differences when you look at these two, and the most obvious, and by far the worst, is the fact that in the recording that the other business did, one of the channels is completely missing. Now, that is just flat out unacceptable, alright? Like, that just should not be happening. And what would have happened is that when the tape was transferred, one of the cables or something probably wasn't connected properly, and so it only recorded one of the channels, and then they probably didn't even bother to actually check the files. They were like, oh, I've got the file here, oh perfect, send it off, that should be, it's all good to go. But of course it's not good to go, okay? And this is, if you've got stuff that you're doing for a customer, you have to check it before you send it off, and don't just assume it's all good. So, and this is the case with all the files that he got. Like, all the files he got just had the left channel, no right channels. So at no point did they realize the issue, which is just flat out unacceptable. In my file, of course, you do have two channels, okay? This is the left channel and this is the right channel. So that's how it should look like. And by the way, occasionally you will have cassettes where there is only audio on one channel. But if that is the case, if it's taken from a cassette tape, then there'll be tape hiss on the right channel. But here, there is no tape hiss. That's just there's a tiny bit of a signal there, but that is not that's not loud enough. That's not tape hiss. That's just, I don't know what that is. But, that just shouldn't, anyway. Point is, this is missing a channel, which is unacceptable. The other thing, of course, is that it's much louder, okay? And if we look particularly at this opening section, you can see it is really loud. It is actually clipped. If I zoom in right here, you can see the waveform has actually been chopped off, okay? The waveform is supposed to go up and over, but because the digital signal can only go as far as here, it's just chopped off the waveform, okay? Whereas this is what the waveform should look like. So that's also really bad, and it creates this really nasty distortion, which also sounds really bad. So those are the two obvious issues, but they aren't the only issues. So what I'm actually going to do is to give you as fair a comparison as possible. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to isolate the left channel from both, and I'm going to get them so that they're at the same volume level, and then also sync them up. So I'm just going to sync them up first. So I'll just do a rough, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Delete, there we go. And then over here, there's just a bit of, there we go. All right, sorry. Okay, perfect. So now they should be roughly, now this one's, you can see it's a bit longer than the first one. So this one actually plays at a slightly faster speed. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, whether this tape deck was playing too fast or this was too slow or maybe both. were the case. But anyway, I'm going to slow this one down so that it's the same level. But firstly, I'm going to get the volume the same. So we can see this one's 4.96 decibels louder. So I'll just decrease it by that much. Okay, and then the next thing to do, so you can see this recording is 32 minutes, 27 seconds, and 566 milliseconds. So we want this to be the same length. So just give me a moment, change speed and pitch. 32, 27, 566. Alright, and that should get the two recordings mostly synced up, okay? It won't be perfect, you know, it will kind of go out of sync a bit, and look, yeah, it's already, but that's okay. I'll stick with that. So the first thing I want to do is I really want to show you this distorted bit first. So let's just play this from the beginning, and hopefully you can see here just how bad this sounds. Yeah, okay, so as you can hear there, it's very distorted. But now, if we go here, if we go here, this is how it's meant to sound like. Now, you'll notice it's not a hi-fi recording by any means, but at least it should sound cleaner. So let's listen to that. Okay. So yeah, it does sound a bit distorted anyway, and that's probably because it was maybe overloading the meters when it was recording. But if I just alternate, I'm just going to alternate between the two so we can kind of compare them as we're going. So let's do that. Yeah, okay, so there is definitely a lot more distortion in that first one. You may have noticed that there's actually a little bit more noise in background noise in the second recording. Let me just play again and see if you can notice that. So. If I play this bit and then play this bit, see how at this point it really goes quiet, like it's loud and then it goes really quiet, whereas this, it kind of maintains a bit more. Now, what I think is going on there, and this was something that the customer really picked up on, and there are a lot of bad examples of this, but basically I think what happened was when the other business recorded this, they tried applying, well, there's two possibilities. Either they did some sort of digital noise reduction to try and reduce that tape hiss, which obviously I can understand why you would want to do that, because you don't want it to sound really terrible, and tape hiss can be quite annoying. The problem is sometimes when you try to remove that, you end up removing some of the music as well. And that seems to be what's happening here. Now, that's the first possibility. The other possibility is that this recording may have actually been recorded with Dolby noise reduction switched on. Now, the way Dolby noise reduction works is that when you're recording the audio, those higher frequencies are sort of boosted in the recording stage, and then in the playback stage, they then get reduced again. And so you kind of get the same frequency response, but you get less of the noise. But the problem is that this recording was not done with Dolby noise reduction. So as in that amplification of the high frequencies in the recording stage was not done. So when you have Dolby noise reduction switched on, you're not actually getting it to the level it was meant to be. Instead, you're actually reducing stuff that's supposed to be there. And this is why you get that really big like drop in audio. Like right here, you can see that's so much more quieter. Like, let me just play this section because this is... Okay, and now let me go to this section. So you get a lot of background noise, but you're also hearing more of the actual like ambient sound that's in the background. So as far as which one's better, like to me, this one's far better. Now, I will say that, I mean, a lot of people, and again, different people have different preferences, but I'm always a big advocate for not doing too much noise reduction or things like that, because there's just a risk that you're going to remove some of the actual music, or the actual audio in the recording, which is something you don't really want to do. You have to be really careful and nuanced with this. And I think particularly for archival purposes, like if you're digitizing something so that you don't have to worry about the original tapes anymore, I think it makes more sense to preserve what is there rather than try to change it. So basically the reason I wanted to make this video is because a lot of businesses, and well, I don't know how many businesses are like this, but there are definitely some businesses out there who seem to have this attitude of, well, you know, our customers aren't really going to know what these tapes are meant to look and sound like because most of them probably don't even have a VCR or a cassette deck or a way to actually play them. And this is definitely the case with a lot of people who do go to these places to get their tapes digitized. It's because they have no means of playing them themselves. But then what's happening is some of these businesses are basically exploiting that and are basically being like, well, since they don't know what their tapes sound like, we can just do the bare minimum and they won't know the difference. Now, of course, with this particular customer, he did know the difference because he still had a cassette deck. But if he didn't have a cassette deck, he may not have realized. He may have been like, oh, this is just how it sounds. Yeah, it's not great, but I think that's just how it's meant to sound. But of course, that's not how it's meant to sound. So if you want your tapes actually properly preserved, again, there are probably other businesses that do it well, but I want to just mention that for me, like, as someone who actually cares about media preservation, like, I would never cut these kinds of corners, all right? There have been times where I have had to do stuff multiple times because I've recorded something, I've played it back and I realized, oh, something went wrong there, have to do it again. And that's very annoying for me, but I do it because I care about the preservation of media. I'm not just doing it for the money, okay? So if you want your tapes preserved properly, you can trust that I will do that for you, okay? So that's just what I wanted to put out there. So, you know, please, you know, get in contact. You can find my details on my website or in the description of this video. So, yeah, I'll see you. All right, bye.